One, 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 one. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to One-on-One at Legacy Maker Sports Network.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming from, we're on the road this week. We are on the road this week for one-on-one episode 132. And this evening, I'm very excited because today I get to see and get to talk to one, oh, one of my favorite people. I got a chance to know this guy over the last 5 years and been able to see this man grow in so many fashions, and it's a beautiful thing to see. But today, ladies and gentlemen, with us, he is the founder and executive producer of SIRTOBA Media, Mr. Drew Willingham. What's up, sir?
What's up, brother? Glad to be on here back at the original home where I got this all started out here in this game. So thank you for having me back here as well as on Bowie TV. I'm ready to get this thing started with you.
Yes. Legacy Maker alumni and now the head honcho over at SIRTOBA Media. So glad to have Drew in the building. But today we get a chance to sit back and learn about Drew, about his life, where his career is taking him, what the future looks like for Drew. And we're gonna talk a little Washington Commanders because it's only appropriate. And then we'll hit it with the quick ones, and then of course talk about the legacy that he wants to live. But ladies and gentlemen, before we get all that started, it's time for the check. All right, Drew. So look, we start off every show with the check-in. I want to check in on you, your family, your friends. How's everything right now with Drew Willingham?
Hey, everything's pretty busy. Overall, everybody's doing okay. Woke up today, on this Monday, a beautiful day out here in these streets. What could you ask for anything better than that? I mean, there's a lot of different things that we can all look out here in the world and say that are pretty concerning that I'm going to leave off the air. But what I will say is this: I'm happy to be here and with you. And, if it wasn't for all these people out here that have been supporting me, family and friends, SIRTOBA Media wouldn't be what it is today. And you're a part of that. So I greatly appreciate it.
Well, she cooking right now, and it's a beautiful thing to see. As you can see in the background, there's Big Red right over the shoulder. Ladies and gentlemen, Big Red is right there. That's what I like to affectionately call her. The unit is there for old time's sake. So at the bottom of the screen here, we went new school, Drew, on the bottom of the screen, but we had we got the
Yeah,
unit
look
in
at
the
that
background.
hair, man. I'm covering some of it up too. It's just 21 inches when I donated it. It was
Man,
20 and 7/8 inches. That hair, I tell you what, it
I
was a
can.
lot of care.
Uh-huh.
1,269 days, Darrell. That's how long. As I looked up that last original haircut right before Christmas on December of 2020. I looked it up like a month before. I was like, I'm going to go to 1,269. That sounds like a really cool number. I made sure the girl who's been helping me get it all, taking care of it over at Sport Clips, her name's Nichelle. If it wasn't for her, the unit would not be what it was. Okay. So to be able to be in my mid 30s and grow that out, you talk about family and friends. Nichelle's definitely a great friend. And as you saw, like in those reels I was putting up during the time of talking about cutting it and donating and all that, she was in there too. So she put in a lot of work with that in 3.5 years of help keeping it right, trimming off the dead ends. But 21 inches at 37 years old, it's pretty impressive. And
It
I'm
is,
very proud
as
of
you can
that.
tell.
I'm very proud of it. That's why I had to bring it back for you tonight, because it started when I was with Legacy Maker, and now look at what
That's
we have
true.
with SIRTOBA. It was part of the journey. The unit was part of the entire journey. So family and friends, it was sad to see the unit go, but it's going to be somebody else's friend at some point.
I was a little sad to see it go, but we do know that it's going to a good cause, and that's the best thing about it. And it's not the first time you've done this. I mean, I know in the past that you have grown it out there, cut it, and given it to I wouldn't say charity, but you've donated it. Can you tell us a little bit about that before we go on?
Well, I honestly, that was the first time. I'd grown it out once, and we talked about it, but I never got far enough to where I could
Hmm.
donate it. I didn't have enough patience back then. But as you've seen over the years, I can grow a mean beard out too when I want to during the winter months. We've been a part of it. There's several media clips out there where I've had the beard. So
Being
as I've gotten
grizzly.
older, I've gotten more patient. So as what we experienced with the beard during the early Legacy Maker days, that's what told me I could do it this time. And I had a friend that passed away from cancer in 2020. And that was the biggest reason right there that I
Right.
decided then I was going to do it. So from December 2020, when I got the last haircut, say going into 2021 through June of this year, 1,269 days of hair growth. And I'm one and done. So I did it all during the championship. Our brothers at the wrestling realm would not let me live it down if I cut the unit off before receiving the championship, because they're a big part
Right.
of that belt right there too. The design of it, making it custom to SIRTOBA in the 4 shows that I produce. There's a lot of people that have a hand in this thing that aren't even really working as SIRTOBA, but like
Right.
yourself, who've helped me get it to this point. It wouldn't be what it is without the family and friends who've supported me with this here in the check-in, from donating the unit to recovering from a TIA, a mini stroke, and all that we'll get to at some point. And now SIRTOBA Media, like all this stuff, it's been a fun journey. It's like a lot of things that kind of come full circle at some points.
Yeah, Big Red, she in the back shining, man, and she looks clean. That's something that we do know. She looks absolutely good in the background there. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let's start learning about Mr. Drew Willingham. Drew, first of all, my favorite one to ask, or one of my favorite ones to ask here is, where did you get your passion for sports from when you were 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old Drew? What sparked your interest in sports? That passion that you have for sports.
I was a little early to the game. I mean, I remember, they were formerly known as the REDSKINS, but now the Washington Commanders. Like I remember, in seeing pictures now of me being in baby clothes with that paraphernalia, the nicest way I could put it, all over the logos, designs all over the baby clothes. Growing up within, family members who were fans of sports, it was always on TV on Sundays, and especially at other points too when they were on. And when I was young, that team was really good. Like they were
Yeah,
really, really good until I was about 7, 8 years old. And then now over the last 30 years, they've had, really, really tough time of staying relevant. They've had some good years here and there, but consistently for many seasons they haven't. And that team right there, and that early on, I love football. And then of course, the 90s, the Braves were crushing, and that 90s Braves early on, because my brother was a Phillies fan, and the Braves are the rival, and the Braves were always kicking their rear end. So watching the series between the two of them and Mitch Williams and all that 93 and the World
hey,
Series for them and the Braves, they should have won one. They should have won more than one World Series. Okay, let's get that
at
straight
least
right
three,
there. At
at least
least,
three.
at least, they should have been the dynasty that the Yankees were in the 90s. And that was what was wild to see. But still, I've been a fan of the Braves this entire time. I've loved baseball. You know, this past weekend, we talked about it earlier before we went live about what happened with my adult baseball team that I'm a part of, but we won't go too far into that right now. Still a little tough to swallow right now, but I've been part of that for 7 years, as in my 30s, doing different things. So I'm still a part of sports today, like as of right now, like, might not be professional high leagues, but it's semi-pro kind of, because they got to pay to get in and watch. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of different characteristics to it, but baseball, football, I played soccer for 11 years, from 5 till 16.
Hmm.
I was a goalie. I was a bigger dude, but I could move, and was pretty good. I could have played on some travel teams, but unfortunately, coming from humble beginnings from a single parent home, couldn't
Right.
afford it, because back then, and I don't know how it is now, but nowadays they do more fundraising and stuff to get kids on teams that can't really afford it. Back then, it was kind of cutthroat. So you learn
Yeah.
a little bit more about the world back then. So being part of that, I could have maybe been Pele. Who knows if I would have been able to play on that travel team? But my whole passion from sports comes from baseball, football, soccer, primarily from back then. And then of course I played a little bit of basketball too. And I've always loved the Bulls in the 90s from Michael Jordan and everything. So Michael Jordan, and then, of course, the Lakers, and then the Detroit Pistons in 2004, probably one of my favorite teams. But, NBA I've been involved with and watching that too. The Wizards have always let me down kind of from watching that as the local team. But
Yeah,
they've kind of had the woes. Yeah, they've had the woes of the Commanders for a while. Except the Commanders have had more successful seasons throughout the past 30 years, I got to say, than the Wizards. But my passion comes from all of those major sports. And I did a little bit of wrestling too going into high school. But some injuries really affected me, going forward. And I couldn't really pursue too much at that point. Coming from humble beginnings, you got to work a job part-time to get through. And some other things you kind of learn to go to the wayside until you figure your way out. So, but the passion for it came at an early age from watching it on TV. I'd say my earliest memory is watching the really good, formerly known as the REDSKINS teams. As you see with the colors, between SIRTOBA, heavily inspired by the lineage of that franchise. And when you talk about where your passion from sports comes from, that's really my earliest memory, and everything else just kind of fell into place.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's funny when like when you those early years when you're trying to figure out, okay, what is this all about in this life in the early years, and then those sports, how much they really like they take over everything. That they bring out so many core memories, and those Braves teams like at least three World Series. They probably should have won the one, and like it was at '92. That one of the ones against the Yankees. They should have won one of those. And they did. They beat the Indians in one. So me personally, I always said three. The Commanders, who we will talk about in a little while. We'll get a little bit into that a little bit more, but has been a little bit of a struggle for them. But it's amazing how sports can really like take a hold of us and just kind of build us to where we are. Look at us now. I mean, sports is so heavy in our lives right now. So it's a beautiful thing to see.
Absolutely.
Now, with that being said, let's talk about your career. Let's talk about how Drew became where he is right now. How is he the man that he is right now, the founder and executive producer of SIRTOBA Media? Take us on your journey. How did you get from point A to point B?
I have to say a lot of this comes from having a full-time career before all this gets to where it is. Like,
Hmm.
as much as I know that a lot of the things that we do are funded by our full-time career because we need
True.
something to take care of us, pay our
Right.
bills, feed us, and also pay for the extracurricular activities we want to do, whether it's with ourselves or with our family and so on. Okay, all this equipment, everything that I have was bought by my full-time career. I work in IT. Can't really go too far into what I do. It's kind of like some government stuff. No, I'm just kidding. But at the same time, I'll leave that part off of here. But I work a lot of hours, as as much as I do, and others that we've worked with and collaborated with. It's the same thing all across the board. There's very few that we consistently work with that can do this without having some other side hustle at the same time or a main hustle. And this is their side hustle. Okay. So the beauty of all this is SIRTOBA Media is literally a side hustle. Okay. As much as I love it, I would love to do this full time and make this to
Right.
where I'm making money on YouTube. Even though the channel is monetized now, I had to figure out ways to get the viewership up and get things a little bit more
Right.
consistent. It's not, how hard it is, especially with doing live
Hmm.
content. It's very hard to get consistent views. Anywhere between 50 to 100 to 150 views it averages on. There's some that have gone higher than that and some 1,000 ones, but at the same time, it's consistency. I'm happy with what I have in comparison to that. We have some colleagues out there who are averaging
Right.
3 to 10 views per live video, so it makes it
True.
tough to even have the drive to do it at that point. So luckily I've built the support system within SIRTOBA, because literally the catch is where the struggle is real to be awesome. And it literally is what it stands for SIRTOBA, because there's been a lot of struggle throughout between juggling full-time career, health, um, some vices that, whether you have candy or whatever your vice is, we all have different vices. And for many years, I was a cigarette smoker, and smoked a lot. And, when things, whether it was to let loose a little bit or when there was some tough days, maybe I've had a little bit of a drinking problem. Okay. And all that culminated to where I had a mini stroke not too long ago along this journey to get to where I am. And ironically, the last time I was on Legacy Maker Sports Network was when I had the mini stroke. So that night, that changed a lot in this journey that I am grateful for at this point. And I'm so grateful for Darrell and many others within that team who have stuck with me and have spoke with me outside of that and understand what needed to be done had to be done. Okay. It's no hard feelings. Initially, things were a little tough, but something told me right then and there when I was at one of my lowest points in health wise. I experienced some hardships before, but health wise, it didn't last too long. It's because luckily I'm still young and can recover from it at this point and not in horrible shape. I just set myself up for this type of impact when at one point I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, and I did tip the liquor a little bit here and there, and it wasn't to where I was drinking enough water and stuff throughout. So we're talking about journey that led to sudden impact. That's what it was. It could have been worse. TIA is basically a mini stroke, and that's what happened. But I've gone through that story. If you want to go check it out, you can go see it on SIRTOBA Media. It was one of the first video, I think maybe the first video I did with, it was called Unveiling the Vault. I talked about the whole thing on there. So you can go back and check that out. But the journey to get to where SIRTOBA is now would not be without the help of many people. Just like you have with this show here, many different people come on here and tell their stories. You collaborate with them on your platforms with Bowie TV and with Legacy Maker Sports Network, and you do stuff with myself on SIRTOBA and many other platforms as well. What goes around comes around. Everybody's helping each other out here. If it wasn't for that type of drive out here with everybody, SIRTOBA would not be where it is. Now, are there some people out there that may be a little upset because maybe they created a channel and it didn't have the type of success initially that they had hoped for? And this may be one of the cases. I can't do anything about that. I'm sorry. But at the same time, there's many factors that work into this algorithm. And one of them I've been told is I kind of have a very genuine, one-of-a-kind personality. And there's some times when you really need that brash smack in the mouth to wake up. I can give it to you. But I also am ready when the light is on, when it's time to record, when it's time to go live, unless something happens to where I am off, which hasn't been for a very long time, which hasn't been since that moment. Like, I'm pretty good. So it's all about taking care of yourself. There's many different things, whether it's in health, with watching what you eat and getting the right amount of rest, not punishing your body with toxins. Okay. Did that for 20 years. I had a pretty rough road early on, and people have their vices and ways to suppress it. I didn't pick the best ones, and they could catch up to me again later. Who knows? All right. Especially when you're in your mid 30s and you have a mini stroke, things can happen. All right. But at least now I'm taking this opportunity to make the best of it. And you see it each and every week. I have a very short window of time, but I think the people who've really grabbed onto this thing have really understood that. And they're with me for that. There are a lot of people that came with me who were viewing me at Legacy Maker. They're old teammates that I worked with consistently with you guys. That same thing. Like, they've been watching, and I've been watching you guys too. And it's all about the love out here in these streams. We can only help each other grow. You're one of the best of sharing my content, and I do my best to do the same for you guys. When I'm working those long hours at my full-time job, I'm not really on my phone. So I can't consistently do it because one day I may walk into a busy day. The next day I may not. So it just depends. So lately it's been very busy, and the reasons I told you off air, but right here and now, I can say that the journey to get to where SIRTOBA Media is, the in or out sports debate, right at 45 different people up to this Monday, where we've had different people come in and out of the show, pardon the pun, through 117 episodes. Okay, you, my man, are a 7-time Vault of Fame inductee, which tonight Corey Mann ties you for 4th place on that list. So he's catching up to you, my man. So we might have to have a trios edition next time. You two combat each other here. We got some wrestling topics we'll be talking tonight too. Do what?
Yeah. So that's gonna be a great episode too. So y'all make sure y'all check into that a little bit later on tonight. Now, You made some really good points there. I mean, in this, thing, it's hard because, trying to find that good partnership, trying to find those people that's going to share. I always know I wake up in the morning sometimes and I look over my phone and see Drew done shared 4 o'clock in the morning, getting it in. I'm like, but hey, that's support. You know what I'm saying? And he's right. You'll have your days, you'll be like, oh, I miss a couple of days, but you go in and you be like, and you just gotta love to
Rob
show
Johnson's very good
support.
at that too. You'll see like 20 shares at one time. So yeah, you know how it is. But and Rob, he and I have very similar stories when it comes to that. But him working multiple jobs, at one time to keep his dream alive and to do what he's doing and still doing what he's doing with Legacy Maker, absolutely crushing it out here. So shout out to him. One of the biggest compliments I got along this journey to be where I'm at, and you gave them to me when I was starting out with Legacy Maker, was I kind of helped you step your game up with video
Right,
production. And you helped me step my game up as a personality because I was always used to being behind the camera. Okay. I
right.
started the In or Out Sports Debate while I was with Legacy Maker. You can go check out the first 90 episodes on that platform in the name of Kyle Nash. Bing! Go check it out as I'm rocking the shirt right here, my man. So go check it out. And you can see, the next 27 episodes have been part of the rebuilding of myself and now the creation of SIRTOBA Media as its own entity, because before it was just a side piece. I wouldn't say a side piece, but it was like, it would say a side piece. It was like a complimentary piece
The
with
side
my
piece is
work.
crazy.
It was like my stamp. It was like my stamp of my mark on my videos with Legacy Maker.
Right.
It was, without saying a Drew Willingham production, SIRTOBA Media was my
Yeah.
stamp. Okay?
Which is
I said
amazing.
it wrong. I said it wrong with the side piece. I misspoke. Okay, my
They're like,
apologies.
hey, what's
All
up,
right.
Boots?
Yeah, exactly. But no, like it was definitely something that it was in the back of my mind, because for a while it was dwillymedia.com. And then then it changed to SIRTOBA Media during the pandemic, because the struggle literally was real, to be awesome with everything that was going on. The In or Out Sports Debate, like this show, started during the pandemic, June of 2020. We just celebrated the 4-year anniversary last month. Absolutely great. I got Rob back on there to do the 4-year anniversary episode because, he inspired, many things that came from the creation of that. And then, of course, some people like compare me to Cole Johnson, the mad scientist, the mad genius of creation, because I just kind of went ham with it, and it is what it is now because of that, because I've tried different things. So the In or Out Sports Debate has been a huge part of this journey for the career in, part-time in media, along with the other shows that I have between D Willie in the evening, which is like my comedy show that I do on
That's
Sunday
great.
nights. It talk about different stories, not always things I've experienced, but other people have experienced, and then some news topics in there too with the comedy twist. It's on a break right now till the fall, because you got to take a break here and there, which is why I'm available right now. So to do this with you, but between that, those two shows. Then you got the Commander's Gridiron Report, which is going into another season starting in mid-August after the first game. I believe it's August 13th is when that's coming back to a weekly show. And then Total Football Talk is every Monday with Cole Johnson. 4 to 6 p.m. We talk about NFL, CFL, UFL, all types of professional football except for indoor and all that too. But the three main professional, sports of football in America right now. That's today is at its 48th consecutive week, 48 episodes, and we have not missed an episode. It's on WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, broadcasted throughout Atlanta, Georgia area, which you can find on 99.1 FM, also on Real Wise Radio. And I've also got some other things in the works that I can't announce right now until they actually are official. So fingers crossed. I'm doing the best I can with only really having one true day a week, which is usually Mondays now, to make this career, this journey continue. I could have easily hung it all up when everything happened. But there's something in me. There was the words that you said to me, when decisions were needing to be made at that time mutually, that really stuck with me. About, I can still be great out here and still do great things within this game. This is not the end, and I said that in the end and said that, I internalized that and took that as I need to take what I've created and make something into it. And if it wasn't for Cole Johnson with Total Football Talk with me on Mondays, bing, or the student of the game, Kyle Nash, who brings that show on Wednesdays, and the Duval Dive podcast on Fridays with Travis Holmes. There's 3 days a week where you can find live content between myself, Cole, and Kyle. And soon there will be a new person that will be adding to the mix, but I can't announce that yet because if you see the shorts, the little Bray Wyatt vignettes, they're telling a little story. And there's a 2-part commercial that you can see tomorrow. Oh, not tomorrow. My apologies. My days are getting mixed up. Tonight on the In or Out Sports Debate, there's 2 sets of commercials after round 2 and after round 4. Part 1 of the commercials in after round 2 and part 2 of the commercials in after round 4. You may be able to guess who's coming, or will it be a cliffhanger until the next week? You tune in and find out on SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. But to tie this up and put a bow on it, the journey of my career so far started with Legacy Maker Sports Network when it comes to the media. I'm heavily indebted to Darrell here because he is the one who got my foot in the door here. When I show the different clips that I show when he comes on the In or Out Sports Debate, without getting emotional about it, there's a lot of cool things that we did that I put in that reel. And I'm not going to lie when I say this, like I got emotional putting those things together because it's a reminder that's not the end. We're going to do it again because I miss them. I miss them a lot, but I will get back to that, whether it's under the SIRTOBA Media umbrella or, collaborating with other brands to get back out there. It's going to happen. And I look forward to that at some point. It's going to probably more likely happen in 2025, but 2024 has been continuing with the foundation and laying that groundwork for SIRTOBA and adding to it. And with the news that I have coming soon, I've been meeting these goals of that, and I look forward to the new person that's coming on and the others who will join at some point, as well as the others that get to collaborate like yourself. This journey wouldn't be what it is without all of you, and I appreciate every single one of you that's had a hand into helping making me and my brand what it is today and what it can be moving forward.
So proud of you. I can probably say that I'm blue in the face. I'm so proud of you. I told you like I'll watch every week. I'm like, yeah, every week you got something little nugget to just keep, like if it's not the on the reels where you're glad. No, I always get a kick out when you rise up in the when the graphic rises up and it's like ting, ting, and I always get like this big smile on my face because it just is really smooth. But no, seriously, I'm proud of you, man. Like I've seen the work, I've seen the hard work. You took a situation that you could like you talked about. It could have been whatever, but you took it and you ran with that sucker, and you did the best that you could do. And look at you rising. And I'm super duper duper proud of all the hard work. Just seeing you grow your brand makes me smile inside. It's like I love seeing him do his thing. I love it. I absolutely love it. And it's just a beautiful thing to see. It's a beautiful thing to see.
Hey, just like you told me, like my DNA will forever be in Legacy Maker. I will always be a part
Always.
of it some way. You are the very same when it comes to SIRTOBA Media because this would
Always.
not be possible. You're part of that belt. Like I said, you're going to hold that unit. We're going to take a picture of this unit together. Might not have the unit anymore, but I will have the belt. The belt will be here for my lifetime. So together, we will share in the glory of SIRTOBA and Legacy Maker because we both in our brands have a lot more to do out here in these streets.
Oh, we're not done yet, baby. Virginia about to get conquered, ladies and gentlemen. It's about to get conquered. Big Red, one day, Big Red on this show. Maybe, yeah, on this show, the Big Red on this show.
We gotta get you one now. We gotta get you a Legacy Maker belt.
In due time, in due time.
It's gotta come.
Well, with that
But
being
I
said,
was, what people told me with what our brothers said, with the growth that you've had, like you gotta have a belt. Plus, they're big into having the custom belts. So, but they've been talking to me about it, and I gave them some tickets to an event during WrestleMania weekend, and lo and
right,
behold, the creation of the SIRTOBA Media Championship was born.
Big Red. Big Red she gorgeous. She gorgeous. Well, speaking about Big Red, let's talk about a red and gold team. Let's get into our Commander's outlook. I've had a couple people on so far, and we've had a chance to kind of dig into the Commanders, but there's not a lot of people that can dig into the Commanders quite like you. You know this team in or out. You know
Good
this
one.
team. So you like that, right? You know the
You-
team in or out. So I wanted to kind of get with you to talk about it. Last year, and you can close your ears if you need to for this. 4-13 last year. They started off 4-4 at one point during the season. They were looking pretty good, and then that 9-game losing streak kicked in. They finished last in the NFC East, 24th in offense, 32nd in defense. But some things have changed. New coach, new GM. The ownership is finally under maybe a whole year of just trying to get things on the right path. You got a brand new quarterback in the Heisman winner, Jaden Daniels. So much right now going for the Commanders. So much energy right now at camp. And I'm out here running around like a track star for Bowie Television, going and doing things at camp. But I got to hear from you. The Commanders Gridiron Report. You're in that bad boy every week. Nobody shows the passion, how much they love this team. From a media perspective as well as a fan. So I want to know, what's your outlook? What do you see from this team? What's next for the Commanders? Can they do it this year? Can they finally make the playoffs? Can they get to that steadiness that we're looking for Washington?
I think they can. I really think they can. It's been a long road, right? I switched up the background for you just so you can see the Commander's Gridiron
She was
Report,
clean.
which will be back on Tuesdays. Of course, you got Big Red and as you like to call it, and the unit there
Big Red, yeah.
representing for it because that's the background I used the last episode I did. But this team right here, as I said last year, no matter what quarterback you would have had back there, the offensive line was absolutely terrible last year. They're absolutely trash. They absolutely sucked. And that's what I said the last time I had an episode. And I'm just being real. I mean, you look at that
Right.
record, you had the graphic up there, you had the stats. Sam Howell, of course, isn't helping his cause with what he's doing in Seahawks training camp from what the
I
reports
heard
I've
about
seen.
that.
Like he's been highly inaccurate. So maybe it was a good move on them. But Jaden Daniels is a huge upgrade because there's many more assets that he brings to the game. He's mobile. Okay, he can move around. He doesn't always rely on that like Lamar Jackson does, but he can move if he needs to. All right. Very, very great arm. They have made some upgrades in the offensive line. Nick Algoretti, is one of them coming over from the
Mhm.
Kansas City Chiefs, is definitely a big, big pickup there. Super Bowl champion, leadership that they need within the locker room. So Brandon Ayuk situation, though, I hope it doesn't bring too much noise. I hope they steer clear of bringing any drama in the locker room if it's going to be a situation like Stephon Diggs was when he was in Minnesota trying to get out, then going to Buffalo. We saw how that worked with the second team. So now he's where he is in Houston. And, I just don't want it to be a situation where Ayuk goes to team 2 and that's, that he has some flashes at the beginning, then really shows his rear end by the end of it. So if they do bring him in, I hope they do not have to get rid of Luke McCaffrey to do it. All right. Because I really like the pickup of him. Not only that, but you've got some other weapons. You got Scary Terry too, still. Zach Ertz, I believe, as far as the tight end, really, this is like his end of the road here. I don't know if he's really going to make too much of an impact. If he does, it might be early on, but by the time it gets cold outside and you really start to take the hits, I don't see him finishing the season playing all 17 games. If he does, I'll be very surprised. I'll be happy for him, and I hope so because there's a lot of talk about how this season could be pretty special for the Commanders. They could be surprising a lot of people out here in this division right now with the way the Giants have been and the way the Cowboys have been, especially over the past couple seasons. Cowboys can't get out of the first round of playoffs, and they'll be lucky to get to the playoffs with not really making any moves this offseason except for bringing in Ezekiel Elliott back. And we're going to see how much that terrible running back room comes to hurt them in the long run because you have to establish the run in order to have a solid team. And whether it's with Austin Eckler or Brian Robinson, I really want to see Robinson make some type of bounce back as the RB2 and have solid numbers. If you look at how Larry Johnson was, I believe it was 2005 or 2006, the backup to Priest Holmes at 1,700 yards, and he only started in 8 of the 16 games that he played in. Or no, 7 of the 16 games. I heard this I was watching a video yesterday where the stat line came up. So if he can have a year like that as a backup And Austin Eckler can be a complimentary piece. Not saying he's going to be Priest Holmes of like the mid 2000s, but there could be a chance that something special could happen with there. If you have a special running attack, which all starts at the offensive line, if they've really made enough improvements on the offensive line to give them the time to run the ball, it's going to mix up a lot of play action. It's going to mix up a lot of different things that'll give Jaden Daniels opportunities, because I don't see Marcus Mariota. Like, come on. Like, come on. I don't even want to go there. This is Jaden Daniels' team, all right? And he has a better chance of it being his team than, say, like Michael Penix Jr. of the Atlanta Falcons, okay? Like, he really got drafted high to play very soon. And I don't see, with him being at the pick he was, sitting for a year like Patrick Mahomes and learning behind a veteran quarterback. Plus, he was able to learn a lot more from a former first-round pick in Alex Smith over there in Kansas City than this opportunity. It's not like Jaden Daniels is walking into Alex Smith being the bridge quarterback. If that was the case, right, different story, okay? But you don't really have much ahead of you here that you really are competing for, in my opinion. So I see Jaden Daniels starting week 1. I'll be very surprised if he hasn't. Wherever the reports are now, whatever's being said, I'm going with Jaden Daniels starts week 1, and I think he should, because it's very similar to what we saw with RG3 back in 2011, okay? And that was a very special year that year with what they did. So, rookie of the year, everything. So I'm hoping that we can see something like that, except for not in the way RG3s did. Hopefully they manage things better. But you got a new coaching staff. Cliff Kingsbury gets to prove if he's the guru or not, for the quarterback guru as the offensive coordinator. You got many different things brewing up over there in DC when it comes to within there, along with ownership, management. The president's moving on to a higher position too, so they're going to be hiring a new president and all that. There's a lot of different moves they're making within this organization. I am very happy with the moves they made this offseason overall. Between the draft, they had a lot of picks in the draft. They made a lot of moves. They brought in a lot of different people to help out on the defense and the secondary. They still lost a lot with Montez Sweat and Chase Young leaving last year in the way that they did. When Montez Sweat, his draft pick was pretty respectable with the second-round pick, but you let Chase Young go for pretty much peanuts, what it seemed like, because, a third-round pick? Feel like you would have traded him a little sooner. You might have got a little bit more. It's one of those situations like in baseball when you hold on to him to the trade deadline. You don't really get as much in desperation at the trade deadline than you would if you would have traded him earlier in the season or in that previous offseason. So looking at all that, I don't think that they got hurt too bad from that. And I think that this year they can have a pretty respectable year. Last year, I said at the beginning that I could see them going 9-8. Okay, I was very wrong with that when I first started talking about that. Once we started getting into the first couple games of the year, I reeled that back in, and then I gave a true take. And right. I saw it being 6-11. I didn't think it'd be 4-13. Okay, that I was a little wrong with that too, but it was a little bit of a closer pick. This year, I'm going to say that they I wouldn't say easily, but they have the potential to have a positive record and be 9-8. I don't want to give too many more expectations than that right at this time, because one, there's still a lot of unanswered questions that we won't see until we get into some preseason games. And once training camp and all that ends, we'll get more of an understanding. You can probably answer things a little bit better because you've actually been around training camp and have seen these things that unfortunately I've been missing because of my work schedule, and I've been catching up throughout highlights and stuff you've been posting and photos and different things. I've seen a lot of my coverage from that and along with some things on YouTube. But I can say that honestly, from what I've seen, limited recently, but a lot of what I saw over the offseason leading up to the very busy time that I have right now is they've made a lot of great moves. They've been respectable. The GM they brought in has been doing a great job. Adam Peters, you gotta be happy about that. If you are a Commanders fan, you got to be happy about that. If you're covering the team like yourself, be going there on a regular basis and seeing this, because when you see seasons like last year, it makes it not fun, really, even if you're not a fan of the team, to cover a team that absolutely is terrible. Yes, it's more fun when they are at least being a respectable franchise. Like at least finishing over 500 or at 500 before when we had 16 games. Okay. And if they make the playoffs, great. That's more work you get to do. That's more content, more bread. Okay. But this team has had no shot of getting outside of the wild card, really, and quite some time. And just happy to be there if they get there. And for me, as someone who was a fan for years, just happy to be there isn't enough. Okay. So, deal with it a little bit longer if I have to. All right. But I tell you, and you know this about me, if they suck, I'm going to tell you. Okay. I have no qualms about it. But if they're good, I'm going to tell you, but I'm not going to be like that old school typical, formerly known as the REDSKINS fan, where they were going to the Super Bowl every year, because I've never been that way. I've been realistic since I was like 5 years old, the last time they won a Super Bowl.
They trained you early.
And in the next few years, they made the playoffs, and I think they got to the NFC Championship again in 94 or something like that, or 93. But since that point, they've been not irrelevant, but just inconsistent with success, to where they've gotten to the playoffs more times than other teams, but they can't get past the division game if they win the first wild card game. And it's been like that since 99 under the Dan Snyder era. And then now, hopefully, with the new era that just started not too long ago, and the moves that really affect them in 2024 with all the moves they made, this is really the start of a new era. Will it be a positive one? It's looking like it will be. We just got to give it some time and give it the 3 to 5 year plan and see if it works out for the next 3 to 5 years.
Well, I can't wait to see what comes above for this Commanders team. As I feel like they're on the right path. But like you said, only time will tell, and we won't really know until about a month from now. When they're actually 2, 3 weeks, because the season started. Well, they got preseason in the Jets on the 10th, and then they got Miami. Then they got So we're going to find out in a couple of weeks, even if it's just a little bit of Dan Quinn's been able to kind of get this team where they need to be. All right, now it is time for my favorite segment. It's my favorite segment. It's time for Quick One. Drew, are you ready for the Drew Willingham version of Quick Ones here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network and Bowie Television?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Let's go ahead and start it off with your favorite sports moment. What is your favorite sports moment?
It's not like a championship, but just because so many people got upset about it, when Tim Tebow threw that pass against the Steelers in the division round of the playoffs, or the wild card game of the playoffs, and eliminated them to go to the division round, they got absolutely smacked the next week. Okay, which is what ushered in the Peyton Manning era. Okay,
right.
One of my favorite sports moments was seeing him for the one time at that point, I think the other time since, throwing a real quarterback-like pass. As a left-handed quarterback, I'm a righty, but there's something very unique about lefties in sports. Baseball, they're more dominant, okay? Always loved watching lefty pitchers, which last week on the In or Out Sports Debate, episode 116, bing! Marcus Putz, a star pitcher from my baseball team, made his debut on there, and he's my lefty that had a great successful year this year and the previous couple of years. And, he's one of the ones right there. I just love watching lefties do their thing, especially if they're good. All right. Baseball is one. Football the same, because we very rarely see left-handed quarterbacks. It's been very special. And you see Michael Vick, but he was more known for his legs. Okay.
Right.
You got Tua, but we don't know if he's going to be able to hang, even though he's getting paid. He just got the recent contract. We'll see if that evolves. Steve Young's the main really good quarterback that I've ever known. One that's in the Hall of Fame, but also won a Super Bowl. Okay, I love watching that part in 94 when he got the monkey off his back. But just something about the last moment that's my favorite sports moment that I can look back on and say, because so many Steelers fans got upset when that happened. Okay, it was great to see that moment, but you just didn't expect it. The moments that you don't expect. The helmet catch by David Tyree for the Giants in that Super Bowl. Okay, that's another great sports moment. It's not my favorite because it's the Giants when they're rivals to the formerly known as REDSKINS at that time. Okay, but right here, right now, I would say that pass right there for Tebow because it set them up the next week to get their butts kicked, and then Peyton Manning came the following year. So everything worked out great after that 2011 playoffs. But yes, that right there is one of my favorite sports moments. And if I had to give a quick one, that's it.
All right, next one. Worst sports moment. I'm
When
sorry.
our when RG3 the knee
Oh,
injury. And not the initial one that knocked him out. When he came back too soon in the playoffs, the next week or whatever, or it was either the next week or 2 weeks later, and he got hurt, and that pretty much
yeah,
messed up the rest of his career. If I were to really give the worst sports moment that I would say as a fan, and
right,
especially affected a team that I watch, there's been many horrific sports moments. If you want to count Owen Hart, looking at sports entertainment, since you and I are both big into wrestling too, that was the worst moment in sports entertainment. Okay.
right.
Um, but as far as sports and something that affected my direct team, I would have to say RG3's injury, because that year he was on top, rookie of the year, in the talks for MVP as well. Offensive player of the year, all sorts of different stuff for what he had done up to that point, and they ruined his career by putting him out there too soon, especially when you have Kirk Cousins, who is still playing today, who could have filled in, and
Yep,
whether you would have lost, RG3 heals up like Aaron Rodgers at this point and may be able to have a decent remainder of his career, even though Aaron Rodgers is 40. But that happened during his rookie season, after he'd already had a knee injury on the other knee at Baylor, his college that he came out to before he came to the NFL. So that right there that's my worst sports moment.
see, and that one's tough. My brother was at that game. My brother was at that game. He went with a friend that was that's a Seahawks fan. And he was at that game, and I just remember how heartbroken he was. He's like, "Why did they put him back on the field?" It was definitely that's a very tough moment, and it really is, because I think most at the time, Washington Red fans, felt like they had their quarterback of the future. Like, he was cooking. He was great all year long up until the injury. So it's one of those what ifs in sports that you just wish that went the other way. Next one, your favorite athlete of all time.
This one's tough. Because there's been many athletes that have inspired me or have been my favorite athlete. Uh, I would say in football, one of my most favorite athletes to watch was LaDainian Tomlinson when he was with the
Ah,
Chargers early on in his career. LT. That's why when I remember one time, when LT, Lamont Thomas and I were younger, and he got introduced as LT with somebody, and this other person, you thought I was brash. This person he was real brash. He's like, you don't like LT. This is back when LaDainian Thomas was on top. This was like during the 2000s. So like we were shortly out of school. Yeah. So you don't look like LT. I'm like, nah, it's different. There's many LTs out there, but no, he's not the original LT or today's San Diego Chargers LT. No, but I would say LaDainian Tomlinson was one of my favorites. I also have to look at baseball, with the Braves, their pitching staff, Glavine, Smoltz, Maddox, the Braves.
everybody digs the long ball.
Everybody digged, yeah, and them they managed the long ball. There wasn't many long balls that were getting hit out. That's why I liked it, because
Hmm.
the way they commanded the game. And of course, if I were to look into sports entertainment, I'd have to say it's a toss up depending on what day of the week it is. Between three of them, it'd be Stone Cold, The Rock from the Attitude Era, and most recently Bray Wyatt. Fortunately, with us losing him, this whole new era was started with him in mind.
Right.
And now with him not being here, it's different, but they're still getting by, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the Wyatt Six. But say athletes, that inspire me, I'd have to say those would be my favorite athletes.
Those are some
And
good
Michael
ones.
Jordan, of
Those are
course,
some
for
good ones.
basketball. Of course,
Yeah,
Michael Jordan, because he's the GOAT.
hey,
Yeah, let's just get that out the way.
he's the goat. Not
Yeah.
that other guy. We'll talk about another time.
Mm-mm.
Next one.
Yo, K!
Two. I call them the two fun ones on quick ones. The first one is, what's the worst ice cream you've ever had? What's your least favorite ice cream? You just no. Look at that
Man,
face.
That Neapolitan sucks, man. I'm not really a fan of Neapolitan, man. Like you've gotten me on this whole Bluebell kick with all these videos you've done. Every time you post one, it inspires me to go to the nearest Walmart or somewhere to find Bluebell ice cream. So I've become more of a fan of Bluebell ice cream. But that's, I would say, the worst ice cream I've had is Neapolitan, no matter what brand. I'm not a fan.
So I'm right there with you. But my thing is I can eat it as long as it doesn't have real strawberries in it. If it has, I'm not a big
No,
ice
frozen,
cream.
yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
who
get
wants
that
to
out of
eat
here.
that? I've never been a big fan of ice cream that has fruit in it. It just, to me, doesn't make sense. That's just me, though.
Just
Now,
eat
this
fruit,
next
man.
one,
Just eat fruit.
yeah, I can't do that. I can't do that. Now, this next one is going to be our last one, but I think this one sums up what I think will be fun for you on this one. You're producing a movie about your life. You can name three celebrities to play in the movie, and you get the three celebrities, plus you get a person to play you. Who's playing you, and which three celebrities would be in the movie?
Wow. That's a really good question. This out of all the questions, like you've thrown some really good ones out there. This one really got me because I've never really thought of this before. I wish we could use like past actors, like this could
You can,
happen.
you can,
Oh,
you can use
so
past actor.
if we could be like Doc Brown, jump in the DeLorean and pull back some people from time and make them act, okay,
Yes,
okay,
yeah,
because we're talking about hypotheticals. I think I would want a younger but slimmer version because I have lost, a good amount of weight at this point. Like I would say I would want Chris Farley to play me. He's
I
got to be
knew
able to
you
grow
were
a
going to
beard.
say that.
And Chris Farley has to play me. And I feel like if this was like if he would have lived and gotten himself together, if he would have lived to be like the 2000s, he would have probably been able to balance out enough to where he could, look maybe
Right.
close enough to me and do the role. Who knows? But unfortunately, we don't have that. I would love to have, those guys like Adam Sandler. You look at all of them from back then. Those guys. I would say you got Chris Farley, David Spade. You got Adam Sandler. Somebody has to play you, and I've got to go with what's his name? Reginald Vell Johnson, the guy from Family Matters. Yeah, I got to go with him. Carl Winslow. Plus, when I think of how his role was in Die Hard before Family Matters, like he crushed it in Die Hard. So yes, he's got to play you. Okay,
I would be honored.
yes, we talk about the journey. Where we're at with Sartoba, Legacy Maker. Before that, you got Carl Winslow playing you. I feel like he would do a better job than like Uncle Phil. I feel like we got to go with Reginald Vell Johnson. I think that's his name. If I
Yeah,
were to look
yeah,
back,
yeah. I think if not, you're very close. We
yeah,
know him as Carl Winslow. We good.
yeah. I'm just gonna say Carl Winslow. Yeah, we'll go back to that. But yeah, he's got to play you. But Adam Sandler, it has to be in there somewhere. David Spade and Chris Farley has to play me because, my energy, my passion. When I'm clicking the buttons and I'm live. I mean, I'm bringing it now. But
Cartwheels, baby.
But yeah, when I'm producing, it's like this, but times 10. So, and
Right.
as much as I know, it's different when you're just showing up and talking. It's fun. But when you're producing
It's a
and you're
whole different
creating the
dream.
content to put in there and you're clicking all the buttons and producing, oh yeah, especially doing it live. Like
Yes.
it's a whole different game, which everybody's like, how did you get to this point? I was like, well, if you go back and watch the In or Out Sports Debate episode 5, you'll see how, because that right there was an absolute dumpster fire the first time I ever went live. And that right there will smack you in the mouth to where you want to get this thing on track to where we can even answer this question like this about a movie being made about you. I'm humbled and honored if that would ever happen. I don't see it, especially Chris Farley who never played that part. But, if I were to say a present day person, maybe like Kevin James, could play
Kevin
could play
James
him
is a
too.
good one.
I would say
Kevin
him.
James is a good one.
Jonah's lost too much weight, and I don't see
Yo,
Jonah playing. I don't even ever want to do that. So if anybody else ever did that, no. But I would say Kevin James today. And of course, Adam Sandler could be in there and David Spade, but we got to have Carl Winslow in there playing you. I know if, ands, or buts.
But you know what's funny? I was thinking of Jonah Hill, and you said it like that's crazy. He actually said, but when you was like, this could be somebody today, I was like, Jonah Hill. When you said Kevin James, like, Kevin James is a good answer though. So by all means. All right, everybody, that is it. That is it for the Drew Willingham version of Quick Ones, which was definitely fun. But now we're going to go ahead and finish this bad boy up with Leave Your Legacy. We want to thank Drew. We want to thank Drew for stopping by for episode 132 of 101. We're very, very excited to have him here, man. It was good to have him back in the realm, in the LMS realm, and it just is overdue. It's overdue, and we're so glad to have him back in the mix. And I'm excited what the future holds, my friend. With that being said, two questions to finish this bad boy off. Um, first one I would have would be, what legacy would you like to leave in the sports world when it's all said and done? And you're sitting back, you're relaxing, you got your feet kicked up, you're sitting on the beach, you're not thinking about a care in the world. What type of legacy do you want to leave in the sports world?
Of course, I want to continue to build relationships, and meet new
Right.
people, and of course, work with other people that I have worked with in the past, along with bring some other, new faces along with it too, and help them out with what they're doing, with their brands too, helping each other grow out here because you can't do it alone. There's no way, no how, and if you are,
Can't.
you're like part of 0.1% of people that got lucky. So there's no way. You have to have a supporting cast around you. So I would love to continue to build relationships, but also when it comes to delivering my content, do it in a way that's factual, but also entertains you. Because
Right.
you could be watching ESPN, you could be watching Fox, you could be watching any of these other networks or any other content creator, but there's a respectable, it's still kind of small, but it's growing. There's a respectable amount of people that are still watching what I do because I'm doing something right. So that makes me feel
Right.
good. So as long as I'm still doing that, and as long as people are still entertained by what I'm doing, I'm going to keep making time for this. It's very tough and very challenging with what I have going on, but I'm making it happen. And that's the type of legacy that I want to leave in the world of sports is no matter what gets thrown at you, if you really want to do something and you really are passionate about it, you'll find a way to make it happen. So just like SIRTOBA
Awesome.
Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome, it truly is. So my legacy I'd like to leave is to continue to build and work with people to continue to grow out here and help others grow along with me. Also, entertain people along the way.
And just get a few laughs in there. Ain't nothing wrong with getting a few laughs along the way. And last but not least, you kind of segue into it, but any special projects you got going on that you can talk about? Because we know we got some secret ones coming up the pipe. But is there anything in particular that you want to get out there? And of course, let people know where they can find you on the intranet.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. And, you brought that up, I would say every Tuesday, you can, not every Tuesday, but every Monday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time, you can find Total Football Talk as I have right here on SIRTOBA Media, as well as on Comey Media. And myself and Cole Johnson have a 2-hour show every Monday afternoon where we talk CFL, UFL, and NFL, the three major American football, platforms of football out there every single Monday. 48 episodes are in the books as of today. Once we are now, in this show, 48 episodes are now here. Every Tuesday, as I got a little bit ahead of myself, you can see the Commander's Gridiron Report right there. There it is. And I'll even move this out the way a little bit. You can see Commander's Gridiron Report. You can find Tuesdays at 11:05 a.m. Eastern time, starting August 13th on SIRTOBA Media. And that'll be primarily on the YouTube channel for SIRTOBA Media, as well as Team MBS Media. You can find it on both of those platforms, as well as on LinkedIn, Twitch, and X when it's not acting up. Because lately it's been acting up for StreamYard. If those of you out there have been experiencing it, myself and others have too. We'll get into that another time. The show we also talked about earlier, D. Willie in the Evening. You can find that show on Sunday nights, usually about 10:05 p.m. Eastern time. It's on hiatus right now after 2 seasons, 26 episodes. Ended it with the Donating My Hair episode. So the 2 hours of talking about the legacy of all that leading up to it and actually showing footage of it being cut off. And when we come back in the fall, I've already got the clips and everything put together for sending it off. It's going to be called Sending Off the Unit.
Send it off to you.
As I mailed it and everything with a couple clips from, the look back on season 2. It'll be season 3. There is no release date for that yet. It'll be September or October, somewhere in there this fall when that happens. Of course, the In or Out Sports Debate, which you can find after this on SIRTOBA Media at 9:05 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find on YouTube channel, LinkedIn, Twitch, and X. There's been many different things that have been going on with Facebook, and I haven't streamed live to Facebook for a while because they're a little picky with certain clips you may play or music, or certain things that I like to share other content of my friends out there in the game, because they have commercials. I like to air them during certain breaks, and certain music that they may have on there because they may own the right, but I can't prove it.
Right.
And me playing it strikes me on there. So I don't feel like dealing with it. So I'm not dealing with that on Facebook. So as far as special projects right now, number 1, staying off of Facebook when it comes to going live. Okay. I'll post clips and reels to get people's attention and share the YouTube link. But primarily my work's been on YouTube. Got monetized this year on YouTube, which has been nice. And I appreciate that. It's just the consistency has to get up, and I have to continue to find ways to get more viewers, but I need to get them at a higher ranking and then more consistently. So, which you already know about how the struggle is out there with the algorithm. So we all experience that. So if one person can crack it, let me know. I'll tell you, and we'll continue to grow out here in YouTube. That's the goal. But the special projects, the legacy, all of this has been a fun ride, and it wouldn't be possible without people like yourself, many teammates from the past, present, and future. I look forward to. You can primarily find all of this work mainly on YouTube. In the shorts, you can find on Instagram, TikTok, of course, Facebook, and many other platforms out there. And listen to the audio versions on Spotify, and I'll just search SIRTOBA Media, just like it says right up here, and you'll find it one way or another. Because we're doing some stuff out there. We're not getting buried. All right. We're not terrible to we're getting buried. But at the same time, it's all because of you. So, you, Darrell, and all of you out there who are actually consistently watching, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate you, and the people that work with me on a regular basis appreciate you as well.
Awesome, man. Look, and real quick shout out to Cole Johnson, season 6. Just throwing it out there right now, Cole. And Drew, I know you can send that message. And look, season 6 next year, we're gonna be ready for you, Cole. I'm gonna come screaming. Shout out to Joe Cardoza, who was on last season, and as well as Cal Nash, who was also in. So we want to give a shout out to them, who former people we had on the show to tell their stories. And now, just as a little bit of a Drew Willingham pun here, we trying to put them in the vote here on one just to get them in that bad boy. So Drew, look, brother. Let me do. There's one thing I have to do before I send Drew off properly here. But first, next week on our August 4th edition, we will have Ed Lane hosting the Fast Lane with Ed Lane show. He's out there in Lynchburg, has a radio show. He's been amazing to me. I met him at ACC Media Day last year. And he was just super, super kind to me. He's a great guy. Can't wait to have him on next week to talk about his career and how things are going down there in Lynchburg. We might talk a little Virginia Tech, a little Liberty. We might also talk a little bit about UVA and all that stuff going on in those areas. So with that being said, I want to say, Drew, thank you for coming on, brother. Truly appreciate it. It has been long overdue. It was good to get you back. And we appreciate you, brother, for coming on for episode 132 of 101.
Hey, I appreciate it. I got 2 quick things before we roll out. First of all, from one person who can grow a unit to another, dude man's got a nice set of flow going on with the hair right there. So shout out to him. As he can see right here, if you want to clip this part out and send it to him, I can grow it too. So shout out to you for that. Also, since we're throwing big things out there, like you said with Cole Johnson, I want to try to work up a quads episode here in the near future, if possible, with yourself, Candy Waller, and if you can get Karita Parks to join, all 3 of you to join on a quads episode. Since I'm here on Bowie TV right now, I'm calling my shot. Y'all come on to the Inter-House Sports Debate and let's make this happen. Candy Waller already came on for a Commanders Gridiron Report episode. You've been on now 7-time Vault of Fame inductee, and we can make it 8 with the Quads edition if you make it happen.
We're gonna have to figure that bad boy out, sir.
So I'm
We're gonna have
talking
to
about.
figure it out. Look, Drew, once again, brother, proud of you. I love you. I don't say that with any whatever. Proud of you. I love you. Keep killing them in those streams. I'm Darrell Owens, Legacy Maker Sports Network, of course, Bowie Television. Y'all make sure y'all go check out SIRTOBA Media with my guy, Drew Willingham. We will see you all next week for episode 133 of 101.
One, 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 one. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof.